I'm a self-proclaimed dummy when it comes to things like 3D resin printing. I know that you put some liquid resin in it and some files in the printer, and then through some kind of magic, you have a physical print a few hours later. So when UniFormation reached out with the offer to send me one of their GKtwo printing kits and said that it was one of the easiest printers on the market to set up and use, I thought I would test out that claim. So here it is, the GKtwo Printer, Ultrasonic Cleaner and UV Curing Station. Out of the box, there's not a lot of setup to do with the printer really. First up, there's a carbon filter that just slots into the back and fixes in magnetically. Following on from that, you just plug the kettle into the mains and you're good to go. There's a nice solid button on the front to turn it on, which activates this lovely touchscreen menu. And then what we have to do is remove the resin vat and take off all the film protectors and that kind of thing. And we do a UV test. So basically we just click on the menu, click through to find the setting, turn it on, and we should show some shapes on the LCD screen. If it doesn't show that, then we have to contact support. No, nothing to worry about here. Once that's done, we're going to test the leveling of the printer. So this is how level the build plate is. And the build plate is this bit here, and it has the nice latch system on top, so it feels properly heavy duty and like it's not going to go anywhere once it's fixed in place, which is, I suppose, what we want really, seeing as that's what our model's going to be stuck to. The printer does come pre-leveled from the factory, but apparently it's a good idea to test this whenever you get a new printer delivered. So thankfully, with the GK2, it's really, really easy. You get these paper strips and you fold them so they're 3 layers thick, pop one of them under each corner of the build plate. And then you set the Z-axis, which is like the up and down arm of the printer, you set that to 0. If the printer is then leveled correctly, you shouldn't be able to pull out those paper little tabs on each corner. I couldn't, so happy days. Now that we've made sure the printer is leveled, it's time to do some printing. We're using the water washable Warhammer resin from my mate Ross, aka Warhammer. I gave it a good shake and poured a bunch of it into the vat. The vat has this handy little runoff section so you can know when you're getting full. I didn't fill it anywhere near that because we're just going to do a small print to begin with. For the actual print itself, you need to get a digital file that contains the model you want. These are called STL files, and there's loads available online, and some really cool ones actually come with the printer itself, like this little gnome dude. I muddled through the instructions and used Slicer, which is a computer program, to take the STL file and make it ready for printing. So this does a load of different things to it, but it basically puts it into a language where the printer knows what to do and for each layer, and obviously turn it into a physical object. For some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to scale it down using Slicer without really knowing what I was doing. So we'll see what happens with that. Once I'd done that, I popped it onto the USB drive that came with the printer. To get the printer working, you just plug the USB drive into the slot on the front. The printer will then recognise the drive. You open that up, select the file you want. It transfers that to the printer, and you just follow the on-screen prompts, and away we go. The printer has a built-in heater. So one thing I didn't realise about resin printing is that the temperature makes a really huge difference. So if you live in an area where you get big fluctuations in temperatures, then having a heater built into the printer means that your resin is always going to be at the same temperature, and should mean less chance of the resin doing anything weird or getting any failed prints. So the printer begins warming up to the target temperature at the start of the printing process. So I set that to 25 degrees. The display on the printer shows us the progress, including things like time to completion, how many layers I've printed so far, and a few other things. By the way, if you're an experienced printer watching this and screaming at the screen about some of the mistakes and things I'm saying along the way, please bear with me. This is all coming from a completely new to printing standpoint. Promise, towards the end, I do get my act together a bit better, so yeah, just wait and see. So yeah, once the print is done, we can come back to our printer and remove the build plate using the latch system, and here it is. I removed him from the plate using the included scraper, filled the ultrasonic cleaner with water. It does recommend using isopropyl alcohol, but I didn't really think that'd be a smart idea to use that inside a ultrasonic cleaner. So pop the model in the basket, dunk that in, turn it on for a few minutes, and afterwards the resin seemed mostly clean to my untrained eyes. After that, we need to cure the resin. So we've washed off all the excess like loose resin, but the resin's still not fully cured, so it's not fully hard. So now we need to go and cure to solidify it fully. The curing station is another thing that we got with the kit, and it's a bit like a microwave. So it has this turntable on the bottom and lights around the sides and bottom and roof, and you simply pop the print into there onto the plate and turn it on for a few minutes. So here he is. I have to admit, I wasn't sure at this point if it was properly cleaned and cured, so I did repeat this process again just to make sure, and yeah, it seems alright. So we're back over to my hobby bench now, and we've pulled off the supports. I have to admit, considering this is my first print, I had like no idea what I was doing. I bumbled through all of it. I think it turned out pretty nicely. I'm not 100% happy with it though, so it was time to hit up a mate. So I dropped my good friend Ross of Warhammer a message, and he gave me a list of things I could change to get better results. So first up, he said to use better pre-supported files as a complete beginner. So I headed to my mini factory and we had a look around. There's an absolute abundance of awesome sculpts, but Bestiarium really drew my eye. They've got this really awesome grim dark aesthetic, and yeah, some of the models just absolutely looked amazing. So I subscribed to their tribe, which is like almost like a Patreon, but it's exclusive to my mini factory. It costs about a tenner, and I unlocked a welcome pack and this month's releases, and that comes to over 40 minis, so it's quite a lot for just 10 quid. I downloaded this Jackalope and an Etin and some of the hero models. The second tip that Ross gave was to use GKtwo rather than Slicer. These are the computer programs that you use to take the STLs and make them printable. So I opened it up and it's super simple to use. You can just open the pre-supported files that we've just downloaded, and Bob's my uncle, the files there on the build plate. That's it. Once we've got the build plate arranged how we want, you can move the files around and stuff to fit more onto the build plate if you want to do a bigger print. Once it's done, we just press the slice button, and a few minutes later we can check for islands. Don't really know what those are or how to adjust them, so I just saved the file and went for a second round on the printer. 11 hours later, and here are our prints. I printed the Jackalope and the Etin in this first one. The next tip that Ross gave me was to give them a quick rinse in 99% ISO using a pickle jar, like this one. Even though the Warhammer resin is water washable, the ISO just does a better job than the water, so you just give it a quick dunk for a few minutes, and then just for a good measure I popped them through the ultrasonic cleaner again, just using the water, just to any last bits. The last tip that Ross gave me was to remove the supports before curing. This helps the supports to come off easier and needs less cleanup on the models. So we're back to the hobby bench now, and it's easy to see these prints are looking loads better. The Jackalope and Heroes don't need any assembly, but I glued the Etin together with some super glue and it'll need a bit of gap filling. For painting, they paint exactly like plastic models. So I primed this Mini, which is Otto Long Arm, and as usual primed him in black, and then gave him a coat with Vallejo Metal Colour Gunmetal Grey. Once that had dried, I gave it a wash with AK Interactive Black Knight. and blocked in the cloth, wood and leather base colours. Once the black knight had dried, I whipped out the AK Interactive Extreme Rust Wash and started to apply that to the recesses of the metal armour for some strong rust colours. For the cloth, wood and leather, I gave them all a wash with Agrax Earthshade. The base is actually from one of the other heroes, but I like the flame, so I've nicked it to use it here. I gave the stones a quick dry brush with some greys. And for the flames, I gave them a wash in white ink and then whipped off the excess on the raised areas, so we've got the white in the recesses, and then gave that a filter with AK Nature Green ink with a touch of their yellow added in to shift the colour slightly. I checked position of the model on the base, and then using the same mix of inks but with some water added in, I did some very careful trigger control to add some OSL. This was a super quick paint job on a printed mini, and I think it's come out really nicely. It's a testament to not only the quality of the GKtwo printer, but also the sculpts that are available in 3D printing now. There's a whole world of printable minis and bits out there, from large scale models and busts to basing bits and full minis, and honestly this printer makes them all really simple, so simple that even a dummy like me can use it. I'm going to keep playing around with it and seeing what else takes my fancy really. I want to say a big thank you to UniFormation for trusting me to give their GK2 a go, and also Ross at Warhammer for all the help. This 3D printer is awesome, honestly. I've only just scratched the surface with it. I can't wait to see what else I can produce, and I also want to thank you guys for watching the video and supporting the channel, and yeah, giving me the opportunity to be able to test these kind of things out. Hope you liked the video, everyone. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments below what you would print if you had a 3D printer, or what you do print if you do have one already. Thanks very much, everyone. See you next time.